Don't give a fuck whether you land or not, just let him go. Don't worry about you, gonna be a shitty fight, but you gotta let punches go.
Last round.
You can't wait until they get, if you miss it, bang, go right back. And don't take 30 seconds and start another punch.
I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody closer. I'm Sonny Liston, I'm Jack Dissy. There's no one like I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable.
Look at that combination.
I kept telling him he had no punch, he couldn't hit, he's swinging like a sissy, he's missing, let me see your box. I hadn't started dancing yet. A tremendous motivational first round, and Burns gets hurt. Burns got stunned. Acko was stunned early in the round. Great first round. Incredible. Perhaps one of the best in middleweight history.
That black guy, he hits hard.
Fire!
Welcome everybody to another episode of Hands of Fire Boxing Talk. I'm your host, writer and reporter for RealCombatMedia.com, Georgie Dampeer. I'm joined by some pretty good company today, and for a good reason, for a great fight that took place yesterday. Ward winning by unanimous decision, 114 to 113 on all three judges' scorecards. So let's jump into it. I'm going to introduce my co-host, Dawud, fighting out of the fighting city of Philadelphia, and fellow Ring IQ admin, Julius. I don't even know how to call your last name. Should I go with your last name or should I go with the Fox? Or you got
just go with Fox. Everybody in Harlem gonna know me by Fox.
By Fox. All right. So Julius Fox is joining us. Fellas, before we even talk about this fight, can I just say this was an instant classic?
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Definitely a classic, and I think we'll definitely be looking back at this fight. This is going to be one of those fights that I think are definitely noteworthy and with good historical meaning, just for what it did to the division and for Andre Ward's legacy in particular. So let's just jump into it, break down this fight. Contentious first two rounds, to say the least. I made a last-minute video, to do a little back and forth with another Ring IQ member, Meathead Harrison, and I said that it would be a sign of success if Kovalev could get Andre Ward to for one, to establish his range and to let him know that Andre Ward is not going to be able to have any type of work on the inside. And two, if he has him backing up. And and that's exactly what happened. And but before he even started backing up in the second round, Julius and I'm sure Evan's hearts were in their throat when Andre Ward suffered a huge right hand. He was basically just beaten to the punch. Suffered his second knockdown in his career, and gotten back up, and it didn't look good. He had some serious he had some serious blood from his nose. His eyes were swollen, and me and you were talking about this, Ibn. There was a moment in that fight. I can't really remember if it was finished toward the end of that second round or in the beginning of the third, that you saw a moment where he could actually check out. You saw that very moment, he could actually just give in right at that moment. It was almost just about a punch away.
I like to say his soul was tested.
Yeah.
Boxing soul was tested, because at that moment, sometimes you be in there and it's like, yo, are you going to fight to win or are you going to try to survive? If you just start trying to survive, you basically checked out. Sometimes guys lay down.
Well,
he put in on a couple different levels, but he didn't do none of them.
Yeah, and
Ward didn't acquiesce from the knockdown. He didn't acquiesce from that, because from that knockdown, and some people are going to think it was a very contentious round after that, the round being the third. I feel that's when Ward got back in the fight. I feel that's when you knew that he's not going to acquiesce. He's not going to let that knockdown dictate what this fight is going to be. He came to fight. He brought his A game, and he made the adjustments. Right.
And it was from that point that it seems, I would say, personally for me, I think I had it about maybe 5-2 up to about the 7th, and then we saw I think pretty much a general consensus of a trend for Ward through that the later to mid rounds or mid to later rounds. I'm sorry, and but I think it's this moment in particular of the fight is where there's a divide on who won the fight. Is because from the judges' scorecards, they have it very top and bottom heavy. They have early rounds for Kovalev and later rounds for Ward. Pretty general. Actually, I think either one or all the judges scored the last round for Kovalev. And that was actually one of the rounds that was pretty difficult to score, really.
Right.
But a lot of them actually were. But I think the divide I'm talking about here is for some, you could say the 10th and 11th rounds were signs of Kovalev not giving in to that tide, or at least making a reversal of that tide. Toward the end of the 10th round specifically actually was another moment where I thought that he probably could have actually, capitalized more, or maybe just time just ran out, it seemed. For him to do more, because it looked like Ward was almost ready to go right. It seemed like he was getting ready to go back into that place again. He's getting ready to get checked back into that closet. I think who was the one who used that term? That's a familiar term I'm trying to think of. Who was it? He said you get
back into the
you get knocked into that room, or it's like a room.
Because he sure came out the closet with them fishnets.
Nah, it's like, I guess it's like a place, like a mental place where you go once you get hurt, where you're truly tested, and it's, I guess, so I'm trying to remember the fighter. I can't think of it right now. It's bugging me out. Whatever.
I don't know, but that's a good term.
Yeah, but so that was a telling moment where it could have actually happened, but Julius, we were chatting in the group chat for the admin for Ring IQ, and that's I think you and Ryan actually scored that 10th round for Ward. So that was kind of like a way, like that's what I mean. Like there was a kind of divide at that point in the fight. I think that really made the difference.
There's a divide, but it's because every single round that Ward actually did win. If you look at the round by itself, if you're just looking at the rounds. These are very close rounds, regardless of who won them. These are very close rounds. These are very hard-fought rounds where Kovalev is making Ward earn everything. He's not making it easier for him in any single way, and we're not used to seeing Ward have to deal with that kind of shit.
And so we reached the end of the fight with each fighter scoring, pretty low output, really, when you look at these landed punches. But that's really to be expected, and it kind of shows what this fight was. Sergey Kovalev landed 126 out of 474 punches, making his punch stats 27%, and Andre Ward landed 106 out of 338, with a higher percentage of 34%. And I don't even know why I'm acknowledging this post in particular, but I just thought it was funny that someone made the comment of, well, how is it that Ward got a higher percentage when he landed less?
He ain't gonna be building no cell phones if he gotta ask that kind of question. I'm gonna say about that shit. But you ain't gonna be building no spaceships when you ask shit like that.
You don't deserve you don't deserve internet with that question.
Like on the serious side, though, it's like it doesn't go punch by punch. It goes round by round.
That's right.
Exactly.
All right. Well. Before we get to that, though, so I mean, I guess let me just ask the question before we get into it. A lot of people saw Kovalev do what people didn't think he could do. Ward did not look good at all. There was a lot of people going into this fight thinking that Ward would make a wash of this fight. Like, let's be real. There was a lot of people that were very comfortable with this pick.
No, I mean, you're right. You're right about that it wasn't as easy as a lot of people. And shout out to Vincent Tools. I think it was Vincent Tools. He's one of the admins on Ring IQ. He said Ward was going to make it look easy. I'm not putting you in the hot seat, Vincent. I'm just saying that you said that.
He thought that.
That's all I'm doing.
I thought that he would win like 8-4. I did.
Yeah. So with that being said, I mean, I'll go back to my prediction to where the fight was basically on Sergey's terms, and Ward was basically a reacting participant of that fight.
Well, I mean, that's a little bit too broad a statement. Ward mixed it up at times, and Ward wasn't simply, this ain't Lara and Canelo. This wasn't a stalemate where Lara is basically just trying to survive and all of that. That's a contentious subject within itself. That's besides the point.
All right,
Ward was making a conscious effort not only to survive the onslaught, but to stay in the fight. And we saw that in the body attack, which took some steam off of Kova. That was pivotal in the fight.
All right.
It wasn't
I can't say that he was. I can't say that he was simply reacting.
All right. Well, I guess what I'm trying.
saying is the reason why I wouldn't consider him reactionary was because it was a conscious body attack. What it was he couldn't go up top on Kovalev and get away without getting countered, or come into the range of it. And like sometimes Kovalev would even shoot first, and the jab it would like offset anything Gray was trying to do. So what he had to do was go in and start stealing at that body. He started stabbing at that body the same way he was doing Brand. And then I even seen a couple times where he would make Kovalev miss, and he would come back with a body combination. When I seen him fighting like that, I'm like, okay, he's breaking them down. But not only that, he's scoring, because these are telling body shots. They're not like the ones like when he in the clinch. When he was in the clinch, like a lot of the times, Kovalev did something that was masterful. He would just like stop it. He would make sure the work would just stop.
Yeah, and
he would just like open his arms and like push him up.
But that's what I mean.
Almost like full Nelson backwards.
But that's
doing shit like that, and he was just like stop it, and the referee had to break.
But that's what I mean. That's kind of part of it.
Right? No, that was good defense. I see it as good defense because Ward likes to tie up one arm and work with the other, so that's good defense. For that, you know what I mean? For that aspect of the fight, what I'm saying is, even with that, it was like Dre was like, okay, I got to hit him in his body. You know what I mean? And then that'll like open up. I could burn some feint to the body, and then I could shoot my jab up top. That's when you start to see him get a couple pushes with his jab up top, and he was throwing. They was all mean jabs. So he was never like complacent or like in the
exactly.
And that's trying to be.
That's really the mission statement. That to say that Ward was simply reacting, Ward wasn't complacent. He wasn't self-satisfied. He was doing things to get back in the fight and stay in the fight. He wasn't just going to give it away. And that started for me personally, I feel that started in the third round. That's when we saw, okay, Ward didn't come to lay down. He's in this fight. It's not pretty. It's not pretty at all, because there's no point in this fight that I saw where Andre Ward established any level of dominance.
Well,
you feel what I'm saying?
I guess that's I guess that's really what I'm trying to. Yeah, that's basically what I'm. I guess trying to get at with the question was, that he didn't win. I guess the way that most really would expect a challenger coming into the position to take the belt from a champion.
Okay.
So
the whole saying you got to beat the champion.
Yeah. Well, let me just put the question out there so we can just get it out there and address the controversy right off the bat. Is this a robbery?
Nah. I mean, and I say that wholeheartedly. There's been some robberies in the sport of boxing, obviously, but if you go back and you watch this fight, this was a very close, hard-fought fight on account of both men. The early knockdown is very deceptive. People see something like that, and they interpret every round after that a certain way. But you got to watch it round by round. Who's doing what, and what's working and what's not working. Ward, to me, this is my personal opinion, he won the fight, but he really won it by the skin of his teeth. Because one right hand from Kovalev could have ended this fight.
Right.
He won the fight. He won the fight.
I was watching the fight with the boxing club, and I was telling them guys from the fifth on. I was telling them Ward was edging the rounds. He was winning them. You know what I'm saying? And they weren't by wide margins. And the ones that Kovalev won in the beginning were by wide margins. So it had a certain type of look to it. But, like, he was edging out the rounds. And besides the 10th, I was giving them all of them from the 5th. I was. You see what I'm saying? So, when the fight was over, I kind of was like, yo, they might get this joint to Kovalev, but like, yo, I really thought Drake was one of them rounds. And it seemed like when I saw the scorecard, it was like the refs agreed with it. You know what I'm saying? And I was mainly looking at the body attack, and the way I perceived it was, you can't get to him up top without him hitting you back. So you hitting him so that you can score, and you can't. You see what I'm saying? So to me, I was like, he was like getting a small type of like, not a control, but a stake. You know what I mean? I felt like Kovalev at times, because the times when he was letting his hands go, he was like throwing more punches. He was in control.
Well, Eben, you let me.
You know what I mean? I don't have no.
His power was a definitive factor in his fight, because he got devastating power, and Ward's got to deal with that as best as he can. Honestly, I don't think, and y'all know, because y'all seen the podcast we was talking about this joint, that I really didn't think there was going to be knockdowns in this fight. I didn't think Kovalev was going to get to hit this guy clean. That knockdown in the second round, I feel obviously it changed things for Ward, because I thought he was going to fight him from the inside out. He had to fight him from the outside. Take some steam off of this guy with the body attack. You can't headhunt this guy, just like Evan said, because something's going to come back at you if you do that. That changed things. And that changes for the people at home. When you're watching this fight and you're looking at this and you're not used to seeing Andre Ward struggle like this, just to get things done. It's going to seem like Kova won the fight, because you're just not used to seeing Andre Ward have to work this hard. When the last time somebody ever seen Ward have to do the things that we saw last night?
Right, he had to get it from the muscle. You ain't used to seeing him have to get it from the muscle. You know what I'm saying?
I sympathize with them. I do sympathize with them, because I understand why they would think that Kovalev won that fight. When you watching a fight like that, and you're talking about a caliber of fighter like Andre Ward, who's put on a pedestal constantly. You know what I'm saying? This was the number 2 guy, pound for pound, behind Floyd Mayweather, and you're watching him struggle like this. You're seeing things that you haven't seen, with the exception of Darnell Boone when he knocked him down. When you're seeing these kinds of things and you're seeing Ward struggling like this, it's easy to jump to the conclusion that he's losing this fight.
Right.
But you got to look at it round by round, and you got to look in each one of those rounds punch by punch. You got to dissect this thing.
And that's it.
It's a very close fight.
If you're one of them fans that didn't understand the body attack, I challenge you to go look at him in the 11th round. Go look at him in the 9th round, and you see him, and he's leaning down. He's trying to protect his midsection. You see what I'm saying? Look in his face. Look when they got tangled up and he laid on and he fell out on the ground and all that. And you look at the way Kovalev was dealing with Ward when Ward was trying to run up in his chest. Ward wasn't stronger. He ain't pulling down like that. You was fatigued. That body attack was vicious. Look, you could hear them shot. I heard them through the TV. I could imagine the rest was hearing. The rest could hear the thud. It was just like pop, 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 pop.
Yeah, you could hear the thud, and it's like one thing that I think a lot of us agreed on, you, Ibn, you, Georgie, that I never felt that Ward would be able to discourage Kovalev. I felt he might be able to frustrate him, but I never felt that he would be able to discourage him. That being said, that Kova's not going to be scared to let his hands go at any point in this fight. But when you're watching this fight and you see how discouraged Kovalev is not, he's sticking to a game plan, and it's not like the game plan wasn't working. You understand?
Right.
Ward won those rounds by the skin of his teeth, and I mean that shit. Like, dog, I understand if people say they think Kovalev won the fight, because you're looking at this fight, and Kovalev doesn't look worse for wear. He doesn't look frustrated.
Well, let me get it. Well, let's get at that real quick. Just real quick. So, because I believe, Eben, you had the fight the same score that the judges had it, correct?
Yeah.
And Julius, what did you have it, or did you just?
No, same as the judges, man. Same as the judges.
You had it same as the judges.
The only thing that I think people are lost in the sauce about, I think a lot of people probably gave Kovalev the third round. It was a contentious round.
Well, yeah, I did. I had Kovalev winning it by 2 rounds. And
the 3rd, the 10th, and the 12th.
And
the 3rd, the 10th, and the 12th were like I don't know.
It did. Yeah, I guess those did seem like the tide turning type of rounds that determined it for certain people. Because I guess I shared the opinion with many of the ringside reporters that were in attendance for the fight. And a few Kovalev fans or not Kovalev, but Andre Ward fans kind of felt the same way, that, Kovalev probably just edged it out, but a valiant effort by Andre Ward, and we'll definitely talk about this just performance as a whole for him later on. But I just want to make the point that, I definitely felt that and can understand why people felt that this is a robbery, because you do realize you got to fight that you have to cancel out that whole half of that fight, and to respond with super close rounds after that is hard to make that, it's hard to make that opinion change for people.
It doesn't seem as organic a victory as people expected Andre Ward to have. It's not as organic a victory, because every single round that Ward did win was a very close round. I feel, at many points in the fight, Ward was in trouble and Kovalev was not. But that was the difference in power. That a lot of us are looking at Sergey Kovalev in this fight, and he is every bit the monster that people make him out to be.
And to that, there was a lot of points where, even in the rounds that I think people were scoring for Ward, because in the back of my mind, as I'm watching this fight, I'm seeing like, all right, well, how are people going to score this round? And I'm seeing like what certain things that people would give Ward to if they're looking to give him a round for. And I could see that I can see those rounds, but it's you're really reaching in some instances, it seems like, because even in some of his best rounds, Kovalev was always present. He was always a body in that fight. He could, even when Ward would try to at least put the first. Remember, Evan, we were talking about this earlier. There's a point in this fight that, after that knockdown took place, Ward definitely was thinking in there, was looking for the backup plan, and I said it was really an experimental process, because it wasn't working initially off the bat. Like he was still having certain troubles, he was still running into certain shots, and he was really working it out later on, and he got better. And like you pointed out, it was almost seeming like he was going to run out of time in order to really be able to make an actual impression on the fight. And I kind of feel that way in a way too, because let alone he didn't really, like the time was running out, but even when his best success was always being erased by just 2 to 3 punches that Kovalev was landing in the round. Like it always seemed like the jab always unbalanced him. Huh?
Yeah, I mean that's the question. You know what I mean? That's the real question. That look, the difference is total perception that a lot of us who are on Andre Ward's side of the fence, we're afraid in those moments when Kovalev does let his hands go. But we've got to be objective, and we've got to see, okay, what's happening here, and is Ward being effective? Not is Ward hurting Kovalev, not is Ward discouraging Kovalev, but is he being effective? And he was effective.
Yep.
He was effective.
That was my take on it. And that was the reason why I was feeling like he was winning those rounds. And like I said before, either which way, if you feel like Kovalev won, I understand, because it was the couple of rounds that I gave to Ward, and I'd be like, I could see if you gave that joint to Kovalev, but overall, I couldn't call it a robbery. And when I look at what Ward did overall, man, he the man for this.
Yeah, and we'll get into it. I guess we'll since you get to it, let's just do a general, observation on both of these fighters' performances. Let alone the fight was just an instant classic, is what I called it. Immediately after, like I said, I mean, you literally saw a story taking place round by round. And I think that the part of that is also another reason for the scoring, because I hinted at this before, is that it seemed like there was also some people who were watching this as far as judging goes, in comparison to what Ward was dealing with beforehand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that, like, he didn't look as bad as he did this round. He's not. I mean, he's doing better, but it's not. It's better. That's all it is. He's dealing better.
It's better, but I mean, look, we got to take into consideration the build-up of this fight and the context that Andre Ward is talked about. That you're just not accustomed to seeing him in a fight that this close for comfort. This was closer for comfort than we've ever seen Ward. We've never seen him in this position, but you got to take into account that what he's doing, he's fighting the very best guy at 175 pounds. This is not going to be simply a wash. You know what I mean? This is the best guy in the division. This guy caught a body, okay? This guy killed a man in the ring.
And shame on anybody that really thought this was going to be a wash for either fighter. Like, that was,
yeah,
I think that was very...
Honestly, a lot of people thought it was going to be, a lot of people thought that Sergey Kovalev is going to simply knock out Andre Ward. A lot of people thought that Andre Ward is simply going to embarrass Sergey Kovalev. And, I can't say that they were wrong in their perceptions, because I understand. You're looking at Sergey Kovalev's body of work, and I see why you're inclined to think that. And then you look at Andre Ward's body of work, and I see why you're inclined to think that. But the reality is when you get two elite-level fighters,
exactly.
It seldom goes that way because you're talking about two very skilled guys. This isn't Jeff Lacey versus Joe Calzaghe. This is Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev.
But it's especially when one of them has a size advantage. It changes everything. And I'm not gonna lie, I really don't know what's gonna be up because I felt like Ward was too small, man.
Well, yeah. Well, let's talk about it. Andre Ward, he did. I mean, he really went. He really took the true legacy route here. I mean, really, definitely, and went right at it. And so he's probably got the biggest scalp now here at 175. But you guys, I was kind of going to try to troll you guys a little bit just because you guys were so confident with the Andre Ward pick. And I felt like both sides really, in a way, were humbled for each side of the fan base.
I can admit to that. I can definitely admit to that. I was humbled, Georgie. But don't forget, I said Andre Ward unanimous decision. That was my pick, okay? I was humbled, but I did say Andre Ward, unanimous decision. He's going to go home with them belts. And as far as that, well, I was right. Now, whatever anybody want to feel after that, hey, you can feel that shit. I know what I said, and I know what happened. And that's all I got to say about that shit.
And I second that because I said the same thing. I said, the way you do.
But it works out perfect though because it's not like anybody really's got egg on their face for this, unless people who were really thinking it was going to be a complete wash for either fighter.
Yeah.
But besides that, everybody really got shown up, but in the best way. Like anybody that thought Ward was a coward, that was just some guy, I guess in the Mayweather mold of not being basically the pretty boy to the face of just not really working shit out. And he showed that he had determination and that he could dig deep like no other. I mean, that was deep, and he showed that. I did sleep. I don't know if I really slept on him in a way because I did think he would do anything it would take to win, but with what he was faced with, man, like it's easier said than done. Like I can just say, like, oh yeah, he can, oh yeah, you got that in you. Yeah, I'll do whatever it takes. Like how many times do you hear a guy on Friday Night Fights say, oh yeah, I'll die in the ring if I need to, and go out with some bullshit shot. Like he really went out there and put it out there.
He dealt with the worst of it. He did, but there was a prevailing opinion about Andre Ward that it's been a long time since he faced a really elite level fighter, and I think we saw the aftermath of that last night. Ward didn't seem as sharp as we're used to seeing him. It could be because it's been a long time since he fought a really good guy, or it could be because Sergey Kovalev is just that good. You can't expect it to look a certain way.
Or has he just lost a step as well?
Or it could be because he never fought nobody who hit that hard, bro. You got to understand that it changed a lot. It changed how you do shit, man, when somebody punch like that. For real. That's why I keep on saying, like, yo, like a little bit of me feel like he was too small, and I look at the rest of the division and I say that the rest of them, I can't see any of the rest of them trying to outbox, meaning they going to try to fight him.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to go in there and try to fuck him up.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. At this point, like, because I always go to the saying that a good big man will beat a great little man, and it's like, you know, if that was Adonis Stevenson, can he get put to sleep?
Yeah.
It would have been night for real.
Yeah, and he's more skilled than Adonis Stevenson, of course. But like, if you get hit with that punch, though, that's what he's going for. He's
got one punch knockout power, and this is different than fighting Sergey. Sergey liked to break a guy down. Adonis, he could end the night with one punch. He could. So it's a different fight, and it makes you wonder. You know, is Ward, because he looked like a little guy out there, man. He really did. Like, you could see the difference in size. You could see the difference in the effect of the punches. When Sergey did land, you know what I'm saying? You could see a difference. Right. That Ward cannot discourage this guy, but Sergey Kovalev can, in fact, discourage Andre Ward and make him scared to throw. He had to make hella adjustments to win that fight, and he won it by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean,
I agree.
So let's talk about Kovalev then, because you know, he, in my mind, he didn't do anything wrong. He literally did everything he was supposed to do, and even in the face of you know, the comeback of Andre Ward, and I will say he was wilting a little bit from that body attack. Hence him being so hunched over and looking to, you know, have a certain approach to, or at least a change in approach to how he was trying to attack Ward. You know, almost like how how you have been criticized Chocolatito. You know, he started fighting, leaning in, you know, a bit more.
Yeah.
He started fighting like that.
Yeah.
And had to change things up, but nonetheless, still always a presence in the fight. Anytime that Ward tried to, you know, do the wrestling tactic, he was right there too. He would pin.
That's the beauty of it.
He would pin him up too.
And that's why the fight panned out the way that it did, because Sergey Kovalev he didn't make a lot of mistakes, and there's not a lot to exploit. There's not a lot that Sergey's offering you to exploit, because he's doing everything right. So that's why the fight is so close. It's so contentious, because Sergey's not offering you a lot of opportunities to exploit. Andre Ward had to fight a very judicious fight, a very careful fight, because Sergey's not offering you a hell of a lot to capitalize on. It's a beautiful fight. It's a beautiful fight, but it's a very close fight. And those kinds of fights tend to make people more upset than others. You know what I'm saying? This ain't fucking Floyd versus Gaddy. You know what I'm saying? This is more of a Maypac. You see how mad people got at fucking Maypac? You know what I'm saying? You got two elite level fighters. These are two of the best guys out there. People are not happy with that fight. But a lot of times that's what happens when two equally skilled fighters meet each other in the ring. It is just not the way that both sides want it. This side wants Ward to wash and embarrass Sergey Kovalev. The other side of that coin wants Sergey Kovalev to knock Andre Ward out. In that instance, nobody got what they wanted.
No.
Yeah.
So... Does he? So, with that being said, do you think he deserves an immediate rematch?
Oh yeah, he definitely does. I mean, I make no bones about that. That Sergey fought a very beautiful fight. He fought a beautiful fight, and even if he lost it by the skin of his teeth. It's not even that he gave it away. You understand? He didn't give it away. He lost it by the skin of his teeth, and he may come back even more ready, even more deadly for Andre Ward, because in watching that fight, I'm telling you, I haven't seen Andre Ward in that position.
Also,
it was almost traumatic.
And to piggyback your point, I'm sorry, real quick, I'll get back to you, Evan, real quick. But to piggyback on your point about what was it? Shit, I just forgot it. Damn it, man. My bad, Evan. Go ahead.
That's right. I think he deserves an immediate rematch. He had 3 belts, man. You know, and when you look at it from the aspect of you got to take the belt from the champion, I can't really say Dre took his straps. So if I'm him, you damn Skippy, I want a rematch. And as a boxing fan, yeah, I think he deserves one. Or if Dre take one fight, then fight him again, I'll give Dre that because that dude's big, man. Yo, like, I don't want to keep on saying it. It's sound crazy because, like, I really just think, like, when I looked at it, I seen Dre hit him a couple times, like, smack in his face, man. I'm looking in his face afterwards, and it was just like nothing.
Yeah, he's no worse for wear. He was no worse for wear.
Right, I was looking at
efforts. Didn't leave Sergey Kovalev in any kind of trouble.
I mean, if Dre was catching him sometimes, it was like, oh, back, and he was just like, and I was like waiting for him to start like attacking viciously, but he never went there. But at the same time, it was like I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, Dre punches don't really have that much of an effect, but he was scoring though. You see what I'm saying?
And that's alluding to the point that you got to realize that in watching a fight, you jump to conclusions because you want to see a guy get hurt. You want to see a guy get in trouble. It's hard to say that the other guy won the fight when this guy was never in trouble at any point in the fight. There was no point in the fight where Sergey Kovalev is either worse for wear or in any kind of trouble. You know what I'm saying? He was ever present in the fight. He didn't make a lot of mistakes. He didn't give a lot of opportunities to Andre Ward to really capitalize on and exploit. Andre Ward had to make the finest of adjustments, fine-tuned moves to not only come back from adversity, but to try to outpoint this guy. And he barely did it, which is why Sergey deserves a rematch. Andre Ward won, but that was by the skin of his teeth. Every single round that he did win was by the skin of his teeth. And for that reason, Sergey Kovalev deserves a rematch.
Right.
Well, I mean, you guys didn't really make this that fun for me because I was trying to really just see you guys squirm a little bit with how bad Ward looked. Because I think one thing we all agree on though was the statement about him not looking as sharp as he used to. Mm-hmm. I think that's a valid point now, right? The general consensus now.
I thought that was a statement that was made based on, with malicious intent, that a lot of people were saying that because they just want to say something bad about Andre Ward. But in watching this fight, I can say that it does appear that he might have lost a step or a half a step. Because but at the same time, before alluding to that conclusion, I also got to look at this thing objectively. Sergey Kovalev is the best guy at 175. He was holding 3 major titles. This guy caught a body in the ring. He's an undefeated fighter. So it can't just be a wash. You know what I'm saying? We're waiting on a lot of guys to do a lot of great things, right? We're waiting on Canelo Alvarez to fight a goddamn middleweight at some point this decade. We're waiting on fucking Triple G to fight somebody at 168 this fucking decade. Whereas Andre Ward has gone up to 175 and, if nothing else, fought the beast. Regardless of who you think won the fight, what we know conclusively is that Andre Ward had that fight, and that within itself is worthy of praise. Because it's a lot of guys that ain't doing shit like that.
Not only that, he did it in a year. We've been watching Canelo and Triple G argue over figures for a year. We've been watching Danny Jacobs make excuses for a year. But Andre Ward in 1 year went up to 175 and fought Sergey Kovalev. So you got to give him that.
Absolutely, and I think he wins. He's a winner in the event, nonetheless. Even if he lost this fight, because my perception of him didn't really change, even had he lost. Had it gone the way that I thought. Because what happened?
Kovalev stock hasn't dropped. Kovalev stock hasn't dropped as a result of this fight. It might have went up because now we see that Kovalev. A lot of people want to treat Kovalev like he's some generic European fighter, and he's only got one claim to fame. And we see in this fight that he's every bit as formidable as his fans say he is.
And he's just as smart. And I think just as smart as a technical fighter on the level of Andre Ward. Now maybe execution. Maybe execution is a different story, but mentally,
I don't believe that.
He's right on there.
That's for the simple fact that he doesn't have the same amount of tools. He doesn't. Listen, I'm not sure. Like for instance, if Dre punches were able to have an effect, I'm not sure that Kovalev would have a plan B, like a body attack plan B like that. I'm not sure he has that type of level of dimension to his game yet. He has a great game. I respect him more than I did.
But I'm talking about more or less on his performance enough to actually because I'm kind of getting at the frequency of his punches on Ward, really in particular, not just how he would deal with it, because I think that's more my worry for Kovalev's success in this fight was if he was even able to find Andre Ward. And the answer to that was
I got to eat crow on that
no
one
problem.
Because I thought he would struggle to find Andre. I really thought he would struggle to find, and he didn't. There's plenty of times in that fight where he found him, and particularly in the second round. So, I mean, I got to give that to Kovalev. That I never thought, I didn't think that it was going to be a wash, but Sergey showed me that, what I'm saying, he could go in there and find a guy that's hard for everybody else to find. He can find him, and he can hurt him. And he can stay in there with him, and he could keep him in trouble most of the fight. Because, honestly, my perception of this fight is it could end at any moment. Even though Ward was winning rounds throughout the entire fight, I felt Sergey Kovalev can end this fight with one right hand. So you got to give him that. He's a formidable guy. He's not one-dimensional at all. He's not just using his power to win these fights. He's got solid fundamentals.
After watching that fight, if I was Drake, if I was Virgil Hunter, or if I had anything to do with it, what I would probably do what I rematched was, for the first 3 rounds, I basically try to miss him and make him miss and counter. I would fight him like that for like the first 3 rounds, and then I work at that body in the midst of that, and then I try to go for him. Because one thing about it, what I realized is what got Dre knocked down was Dre wanted to go up in there when he was fresh.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And as the fight went on, I saw opportunities where he could go up in there. But I'm like, when he was fresh, it wasn't going to work like that at all. You know what I'm saying? So things were revealed to both sides. Kovalev, I saw an interview where, like as soon as he came out after the fight, he got dressed, and he was saying, like, he felt Dre was basic in that. You know what I mean? He said, like, I should have just, ran down on him. But I tried to show, like, good boxing, because, like, his English messed up. So he's like, I tried to show, like, good boxing, like, Like, I try to control, like, every aspect of the fight and show, like, good boxing. But for real, he basic, and I could have ran down on him.
And that's within itself, that in and of itself sheds a light on the future. That if these guys do fight again, if and when they do fight again, is Sergey Kovalev going to try to box this guy, or is he going to try to mow him down?
See, and that's why some people were trying to make the comparison of this rematch to a Maidana Mayweather. And I told
Roy Jones and Antonio Tarver.
I was going to say I told them to shoot themselves, honestly, to even make that, because you were just basing that, that's not even in the ballpark. But I would fear that, people were saying that, Ward's figured him out in order to be comfortable with him again for a wash in the next fight. It's almost like, did y'all not just learn from this first fight not to go off on a general basis to think that? Like, he's comfortably got this. He's figured it out, so it's going to be good. No. Kovalev is going to come, first of all, with another approach. 2, he's just as comfortable with Ward as these fans would think Ward would be with Kovalev.
Exactly.
So I mean,
that's my feeling. That's my feeling towards the fight. That Sergey Kovalev has a barometer just as much as Andre Ward has a barometer, and Sergey knows what's going to work and what's not going to work, and he knows how those punches feel. So in the second fight, the boxing might not be there. He might just try to mow him down and overpower him and outmuscle him, because he knows he can hurt this guy. So it may not be a close fight the second time out. And that's scary. As an Andre Ward fan, that's scary.
But as an Andre Ward fan and as a person that's been watching boxing for a real long time, that type of confidence, that type of mentality can get you clipped. Because this fighter also knows now that he can't rough you. And he does know that he can deceive you. And he does know that he can get to you, but he just can't come directly at you, like headhunt with you. He can't fight you like that, and he can't try to keep on trying to get right up in your chest in the beginning of the fight. He knows that.
But if he already knows, if Kovalev knows that part, if he knows where Ward was only able to be successful, to attack that, and to at least try to take that away, you don't think that's debilitating a bit?
There's a variable. The variable in the rematch situation is supposing that Kovalev changes the approach and tries to mow Andre Ward down. Won't that then afford Andre Ward the opportunities that weren't present in the first fight? You know, that'll give Ward something to exploit. That'll give him the opportunities to start putting punches together, to get on the inside, because Kovalev was boxing. He was boxing. If he tries to mow Ward down, maybe Ward will have bigger success. But it's a variable. We don't know that. We got to see the fight. We got to see the fight.
Hey, man. Well, it's been a great fight for what was an underwhelming card. So I think you got your.
Perez got robbed.
Yeah, he got robbed.
Perez got robbed.
And I think some people said that Stevenson thought that he got a gift decision.
Well, Stevens. I mean, De La Rosa showed up. Nobody thought he was going to show up, man. Like, De La Rosa was coming off of 2 losses.
Yeah, at the beginning didn't look like it looked like in the beginning it was going to be that type of fight, but yeah, it looked like.
I mean, Stevens had some success early on, but I think he hurt his hand or some shit. Something was going on with his hand.
Yeah, something was going on with everybody.
I didn't think De La Rosa was going to show up. He really came to fight. I thought he came to lay down. Who knew?
He was on pay-per-view.
Yeah, and
exactly.
And a quick shout out to the girl who refuses to get any type of love from the boxing community, as you know, as it really can. Clarissa Shields got her debut win. Got a unanimous 4-round decision over. I don't know. I can't tell you the woman off the bat her name, but. The size difference was crazy.
Clarissa should have been televised, and Stevens De La Rosa should have been, not televised. That's how I feel about that shit.
Yeah.
Women's boxing doesn't get love to the point where Hardy, what's her name, Heather Hardy, she's actually going to the fucking UFC now. Well, the MMA now. So, women's boxing needs support.
Especially
it's shit like that that fucks it up.
See, but this one is kind of like a thorn in my side, because it's like it's almost too deliberate, because it's not like she doesn't have buzz. It's not like people don't know who she is. Like, there is a clear way to follow her, but still, she was overshadowed with Stevenson in the Olympics, and again, it looks like it's going to be something that she's going to have to learn how to work out in a way, which is a damn shame.
I mean, it's Heather. Like I said, the Heather Hardy, the news on Heather Hardy, the recent news that she's going to be going over to the MMA is a prime example of that shit. They're like, look, man, these chicks are fighting. They're out there, they putting their blood, sweat, and tears into the shit, but they're just not getting exposure. It happened to Holly Holm. It happened to Heather Hardy, and I think it happened on Saturday to Clarissa Shields. She should have been televised. Her fight should have been televised. You know what I'm saying? She made Olympic history for the United States, and this is the reception that she gets. You know what I mean? I don't want to see Curtis Stevens fight De La Rosa. I'd rather see Clarissa in her pro debut. I would have much rather seen that, and I hope there's somebody in some office somewhere where people make decisions is listening to this podcast. Put Clarissa on TV, man. Stop playing.
Yeah.
Put her on TV.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Holly Holm and that Matisse broad, when they had their fight, they had 2 fights between them. In the first fight, Holly Holm got knocked the fuck out, dog, but it was a great fight. And in the second fight, Holly Holm won a decision. That didn't get the exposure that fucking Stevens De La Rosa did. You know what I'm saying? It's insane to me that these mediocre fights get exposure.
I hope she stay on Ward undercard, and maybe she could get in a position like Layla or like Christy Martin.
Does anyone?
Christy Martin. You used to get to see Christy Martin. I used to see Christy Martin. I've seen Christy Martin fight on pay-per-view 4 times.
Does anyone know who she signed with as a promotional team yet?
I don't know.
No one's
Shit,
aware?
I honestly don't know. They don't make that. They don't make that news readily available to us more than they make Oscar's asinine comments readily available to us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These motherfuckers will report some bullshit. But
Yeah.
Clarissa
Won't
Shields
report
gets
her.
left in the wind.
Hey,
You know
man.
what I'm saying? It's just a lot of sucker shit, man.
Hey, man, but you know where you can never find bullshit on this podcast because we only hit you with the meaningful boxing-related and interest-based topics. So that's going to wrap things up for us, though. Again, it was a great fight. I hadn't been this excited for a fight since the Mayweather-Pacquiao, and it was definitely justified after at 1:05 a.m. after the fight, man, because it was definitely a great fight. And to conclude things up as far as the fight goes, like I said, I huge credit to both sides. I underestimated Kovalev as a fighter, at least as far as his technique and thinking abilities in the ring. Man, he definitely showed me up. I was just in awe, really, of how frequent he was able to get off and at least able to land. And
more than a lot of us thought.
yeah. So and to Ward's credit, I always knew he would do what it takes to win, but I mean, he showed me another level in this, and huge credit really to his conditioning team, because that's really what it came down to. I had a conversation with Vince, so he was kind of on the side that Kovalev didn't do enough to get Ward up out of there, after he got hurt. But in a way, I said that that's really the worst time to have somebody hurt is early in the fight, while they still have the gas tank in them to use it to get through the fight.
Make the adjustments.
Yeah, rather than to get hurt later. So I mean, but again, that's the credit to his conditioning team. He was absolutely right when he said his trainer said he has like unmatched intensity, because that's really what it took. It was definitely a huge, intense fight. I'm sure Julius was popping the Xannies, trying to make sure shit was right.
Man, I almost fainted from that knockdown, man.
So I mean,
almost fainted.
but I mean, that's my concluding thoughts. You guys, to wrap things up.
Well, I'll just say that in a boxing climate where we have fighters that don't want to move up in divisions because of the risks that other fighters pose to them, guys like Triple G, guys like Canelo Alvarez, you can't shit on Andre Ward, regardless of who you think won the fight. You can't shit on him because he went up there and he had that fight in a climate where we're waiting for guys to do what he just did. So you got to give him that.
Absolutely.
And that's what the fight is worth. That Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev did the dance for the fans. You know what I'm saying? They did it for the check.
They truly did. And
we got to watch it.
This was the fight definitely to pay up for, because you don't get fights and guys like Andre Ward in his position to even put that at risk. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's what I was giving him credit before the fight even took place. I was saying, like, look, this doesn't happen. So appreciate it, and it's a shame that this is this didn't used to be as infrequent as it was, but it is, and now that it's and it is what it is, we should be giving praise to the guys who aren't sticking to that bullshit, and to let these guys know that this
Not only that,
we got. But hold on, let me just finish this part. We have to let them know though that this way pays. They like to think that the legacy doesn't pay. Like, no, we will pay for good fights. Don't get it twisted. We don't want to see you just keep racking up $1 million fights. It's
that's the basic premise that you think you can pull a fast one on the fans. You think that we know that we don't know which fights matter and which ones don't. This fight mattered, regardless of who wins the fight, regardless of what side of the argument you on. This fucking fight matters, man. This matters. And this is the difference between becoming a superstar and a legend and being what we're seeing today. You know what I mean? We got a lot of guys making a lot of safe picks for a check.
And what I was saying was, not only all of the things that you guys said about Drake. First off, I wanted to say, not only that, he did it in a year.
Yeah.
He didn't really give himself time to settle in at 175 and get himself, you know what I mean, tip top and get used to taking them punches up there. Brand wasn't even like a true 175 guy. He was just the only guy that they can get in the ring. Not only that, when you look at the fight as a whole, what it lets you know is Kovalev's stock didn't go down at all. If Kovalev was to turn around and fight, I don't know, B2B of any one of those guys tomorrow, I'd buy his pay-per-view. Now he's a pay-per-view fighter. So what I hope fighters get from this is that, all you got to do is go out on your motherfucking shield.
Yeah, man.
We ain't gonna really turn against you.
There's no shame in it.
Talk shit about you.
There's no shame in it.
Like, oh, he lost to such and such. He lost to such and such. But they gonna buy your job if you go out on your shield.
Yeah, I mean that's what it boils down to. Kovalev's stock did not drop, in my humble opinion. I think it went up because now we know this motherfucker's the real deal. He puts on very entertaining fights.
It went up with me. It went up.
I'll pay to see him
now
fight.
I'll buy his pay-per-view.
Yeah, I'll pay to see him fight.
All right, y'all. Well, that's about it. You guys know my social media tags at Georgie Dampeer on Twitter, G.Alé Dampeer on Facebook, George.Alé6 on Instagram, and Georgie Dampeer on YouTube. But again, like I always say with my corny ass, you probably know that by now. So and just another shout out to Ring IQ Boxing Group. And Julius, Ring IQ, who runs that channel to perfection, man. You're doing a great job on that channel, Ring IQ Talk.
Thank you very much. I do what I can.
So you're on, fellas. Wrap things up for me.
I just want to give a quick shout out to all the morons out there that circuit knock Andre Ward out. And I want to give another shout out to all the morons out there who were a little bit too overzealous about Ward's capabilities. They put on a great show for us last night. Shout out to Ring IQ Boxing Talk. Shout out to Bo Bland, Truth and Facts Boxing. Shout out to Georgie for staging the podcast. And shout out to Ibn for he sounded like he falling asleep over there, so I had to shout him out.
Nah, man. I just was like leaving the lanes clear. Honestly, I was just letting you get off because I was leaving the lanes clear. A lot of the things you were saying, I just basically agreed. I didn't feel that I needed to keep saying them 9 times. With that being said, though, I do want to, in my closing, I'm going to forget a shout out, forget everything. I'm going to give my closing to Dre because I really appreciate what he did. As a fight fan, I was a big Floyd Mayweather fan. I'm still a Floyd Mayweather fan, But the thing about it was Dre dug in and went to be great. And I'm glad. I have a son. He's growing up in little amateur boxing. And what he did last night allows me to give him a fighter, and it allows him a fighter that he can look up to. And that guy's not only a role model, but he's the real deal.
That's love.
He fought the best guy at 175 within the year. That guy killed somebody in the ring, and prayers to the family of their fighter. But Kovalev was a scary guy. And Jay went up in there, like Goliath, like David and Goliath with a rock and a slingshot, man. Straight up. And he came out of there with a W and 3 belts. So, I wanted to just give a shout out to him, man, and just man, man, God bless him, man, and just I just want him to just keep on aspiring to be great, man, because the fans, we could appreciate a guy, who's willing to do the things that he's willing to do, to be the top man in boxing, and Chocolatito is number 1 pound for pound, but this makes him the top man in boxing to me.
That's another episode, but that was beautiful.
Oh yeah, that is another episode.
No, because I didn't say that Dre is pound for pound now. I said Chocolatito.
No. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Look. You don't even have to say that because we're still pressed for time, so we're getting up out of here. But that's another topic. But that was beautiful, Evan. Beautifully put.
That was beautiful.
That was beautiful. It brought a tear to my eye, actually. Not really. But we're up out of here. Keep your hands up. Hands of Fire Boxing Talk. Peace.
All right, peace.
Peace.